How's it going?
Oh man, that was so hard. So my only goal for today's race is to focus on staying with the pack and finishing the race with the peloton. Both of my previous races I got dropped from the pack I was hoping to finish with, so that's the goal for today. Let's see if we can make it happen. Okay, so incredibly windy today, and the only news that we have from the start of the race, now that we have our number all set, is that they're going to combine the 40-year-old 1 through 4 with our Cat 4 group. They're faster than I am by a significant margin, so they'll probably pull away. I'm not sure how that will affect the field. So windy. South to north wind is crazy strong. Okay, so here we are in the race, super exciting, and you could clearly tell that yes, those more advanced riders were riding with us because the field is going quite quickly. This is our warm-up intro lap that I'm starting with, and we were already talking about some pretty significant watts, just for me at least. I was able to stay with the pack for the majority of the first few laps, and things seemed like they were going really, really well. But unfortunately, once we got around one of the specific corners, I ended up on just the wrong wheel. I was really frustrated about that. I was behind this rider in the blue, kind of tealish, and he just let the pack go, and that's totally understandable. Nothing that he did wrong necessarily, but I was just on the wrong wheel. He ended up, I think, ending his race a couple laps later, but I had a long chase to try and catch back up to the team, or at least the peloton, the larger group of riders, and it was unfortunately not to be. As you can see, it's so sad to watch back again, but it was just as sad during the race to watch the riders ride away from you. And the crazy thing is, in these types of races, for those of you who haven't raced them, the draft makes such a difference. So after a little bit of riding solo into the intense winds that we were seeing that day, I ended up finding a friend, and we rode together for probably 4 laps or so. And things were going pretty smooth. We were able to hold a pretty steady watts. I think it was right around 180, 190 average, depending on whether we were into the wind or with the wind. But it was kind of nice to get a little bit of practice drafting off of someone and not have to be in the washing machine of the entire peloton. But just about 4 laps into that experience, we were passed by the peloton, which means we were basically no longer in contention for any sort of placing in this race, but we were able to ride the peloton for the rest of the ride. So I think every time we hit this wind section, things start to go either bunch up or string out, and I almost got pushed into the other guy for a second there. Going through these turns, I really did appreciate that we were on a racetrack because you were able to take the entire road. You didn't have to worry about gutters or manhole covers or anything like that. We did run into one crash. Someone fell off their bike. As you can see here, they're sitting off to the side of the road, and here's their bike in the center of the track, so people had to split between going below or above. I ended up going to the outside, which means I took a longer line, which means there's quite a slog to try and get back up to the peloton, and pushing heavy watts to try and get there. Some people clearly are able to push heavier watts than I am, but luckily, as I mentioned, some of the uphill windy sections, the group does bunch back up, so I was able to catch back on. However, that was short-lived, and after a little bit, I think 2 laps later, I was dropped off the back with 3 laps to go in the race. Definitely unfortunate, not what I was looking for in this race. And as you can see, there's a small group of 3 people just in front of me that my entire goal for the rest of the race was to catch. So here we are coming into the last corner of the race. There you can see the 3 riders that are in the group ahead of me. And I was, at this point, ready to be done with the race. I'm holding 24, 25 miles an hour. I'm excited to be done, and I just want to push hard to see if there's any chance of me catching those riders. And one of the riders did seem to let off the gas and just decide to coast into the finish line. And right now he's about probably 100 feet ahead of me, and I just decide to step on it and push as hard as I can to get to the finish line. I want to be more of a sprinter, so I figured this was a good opportunity to test that out. So I kicked it up as hard as I could, ended up I think at 31 or 32 miles an hour at the end of the race, and probably 10, 20 feet before the line, I did end up passing him. So while I probably won't get any sort of placing in this race because we were lapped, it was still fantastic to feel that pass right at the end. So all in all, a good race. Let's see what Jaden says after finishing.
How's it going?
Oh man. Hi kiddo. That was so hard. Okay, post-race. That was incredibly difficult. I got dropped, but was able to catch back onto the peloton on the next lap. Held on for probably 6-7 laps, and it was so much easier than even just riding behind the peloton to just sit there in it. So definitely a learning experience. It was super fun, really tired. Got to pull off something that looked like a sprint at the end, which I was super happy with. But all in all, I think a learning experience, but super fun. So we'll probably be back, but not my absolute best work.